Sorry, I'm late, y'all. I rushed as quick as I could. Almost had an accident getting here. I ain't gonna tell y'all what happened. That ain't even important. What's important is that I'm here. I'm back with another episode of PAC Reacts. Shalom. All praise to the Most High. First thing I need y'all to do is like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Wife hooked me up, didn't she? Yeah, she got them skills. And look, I ain't even got no lining yet. I'm gonna do that myself with the razor. Please believe it. But today I'm gonna give y'all a couple of jewels before I go in. What's going on with this sound? Drink turmeric tea. I just made this, right? And starting to drink this is one of the best decisions I could have made. Let me kill the volume on my YouTube. I'm gonna get that shit back in my ear. I ain't got all savvy with this podcast and this shit yet. You know, people be having all the hip little slogans and shit when they start off. They be having the introduction video, the graphics, and all that shit. It's coming. It's coming. But what I do got is the info, and I do got some insight, and I do got a reaction for y'all. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer that I shouldn't even have to give, right? This is in no way to side with Diddy, exonerate him. You know what I'm saying? To discredit any victims of abuse or women in general. That is not the topic. I'm not going to let y'all over-emotional people with victim complexes or people who've been through stuff, I'm not going to even let y'all put 10 on the 20, put no extras on it. You ain't finna gas like me. Because people love to say, well, if you're saying this, then that must mean that. That ain't what I say. I'm very clear. I express myself very clearly. So what am I saying? I'm saying that out of all the women that Diddy dealt with, I'm sure he probably abused the majority of them, either emotionally, physically, verbally, or some way, shape, form, or fashion. But I haven't heard anybody's stories as unique as Kim Porter's and Cassie's. Not his other baby mothers or other girlfriends. Look, glasses all crooked. I haven't heard anybody's story as unique as theirs. So what was it about them two women that made them ripe for the picking? Because just like with Lucifer himself, you have to open a door. Matter of fact, you don't even have to open it. You just got to have a crack for some water to get through. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to know the crack there a lot of times, right? If you made it. If you made the crack, you don't have to know it's there. All he needs is your permission to come in. And all you have to have is something that belongs to him. If you have something that belongs to the evil one, oh, he's coming for you. He's coming to get it. What do I mean by something that belongs to him? What do I mean by something that belongs to him? Idol worship, that belongs to him. Lying on your heart, that belongs to him. Killing, murder, I ain't talking about self-defense, that belongs to the evil one. All of these things that we carry around, we invite, right? So what was it about those young ladies that made them ripe to be picked in such a way? Because I promise he couldn't have got that off with every woman he dealt with. And I know there were certain factors that went into it. There was the drugs. You know, people say Cassie was groomed. I don't know how young Kim was. Right? So I found a video that kind of alluded to that conversation a little bit. And I'm about to get to it. I done held y'all long enough, right? I need all young ladies to pay very close attention to this. Show it to the young ladies in your family that you love. Discuss this with them. If there's some of them around, get them right now and tell them to come watch this, because there's some stuff they're going to need to hear. Because, man, we can't have stuff like this happening in our community. This is a black eye to us all when we do stuff like this. We used to didn't be involved in these type of opportunities. Y'all got to try some of this potion. This is cherry THC syrup. It's just a simple syrup, like a snow cone syrup. They call it THC lean, but it's all natural and it's super sweet. Ain't no GMOs in this neither. Raw sugar cane. Yeah. I normally would be sitting here smoking a blunt, but I'm not going to do that now. Because I told my wife and the Most High I was going to quit. And eventually I will. Now, let me find this video that I was just watching from my girl over at River TV. Make sure y'all follow River, RIVAH TV. She dope. She fine. She smart. All of the qualities we like in a woman. Over here at Concrete King. All of the qualities we like in a woman. Okay. I found it, y'all. Let me share my screen. And let's go in. All right, this video is entitled Cassie Supporters Switch Sides After Shocking Testimony.
Her entire testimony before I decided to give my opinions and my thought process. Now, again, if you guys are new to the platform, I just want to make something clear. I have a platform in which I hold women accountable. It does not mean that I always agree with what the men are doing. Does not mean that I put 100% blame on the woman, but I always, like to bring or shed light to the woman's involvements in situations and how, women can change their behavior, be better, make different choices so that they are not, constantly victimizing themselves and avoiding accountability in situations. Now, the first thing that I want to say before I get into anything is that a lot of people believe that in holding Cassie accountable for some of the things that she partook in, that means that we are wanting to exonerate, Diddy of all of the things that he also did or partook in this situation. I don't agree with that. Okay, I think two things can be true at the same time. She could have had some, wrongdoings that she, definitely was a part of and did, and there was other times that she was clearly a victim in the situation.
Regardless of how the Diddy trial ends, we do know that Cassie is guilty of making some terrible choices.
Right? Like, even when it comes to, just the one video that we saw of her being publicly, in the hotel, that went public, and we saw all of the details that took place in that situation, that alone lets us know that if you're willing to do that in a public space where somebody could easily walk out their room and see you, what would you do if nobody else was watching? Like, so I'm not going to stand here. We're not going to act like, he did not partake in certain things or he was not harmful to her in any way. That's not this type of party. But what I've noticed from hearing her her testifying and hearing reading some of the transcripts and stuff like that, is that this is a grand example of what happens when some women believe that the grass is greener somewhere else. This is a grand example of when some women believe that everything that glitters is gold. And I think it's important that we talk about this situation from this angle so that other women can see and take.
Let me ask a question real quick. I just want to interject. I know she was only 18 and 19 years old. So this is kind of a rhetorical question. Y'all think that she vetted him properly? Or was she just looking at the reputation, the power, the money, the status, the fame? Or do you think she actually vetted him? Of course not.
Know of these situations, because yes, there's just this whole narrative of, oh, men are horrible, men are this, men are that, women are victims. But we also need to talk about the ownership that women have on some of their actions that led to certain things playing out in a certain manner. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead and break down in this conversation. So starting off, I don't know if you guys remember when Cassie came on the scene. Okay, I do though. I do. I remember vividly. And Cassie was actually in a relationship with record producer / artist Ryan Leslie.
My addiction, while all the girls say I'm addicted to you.
Now,
I didn't know who she was at that time. I promise I didn't. I remember he made videos before that song came out, behind the scenes of him in the studio playing that and talking about it was from the drop. I don't remember who he was working with though, but he was in the studio with somebody building up a buzz for this song.
Now, in being in a relationship with Ryan Leslie, her being with him is what actually led to her actually meeting Diddy, and the two of them forming a connection. Now, I want to remind.
Hold on. So she met Diddy through Ryan Leslie, not just knew both of them, but he like introduced them. Yeah.
Mind you guys, Ryan Leslie and Diddy were co-workers, they were peers, but they were also pretty much friends.
Oh, she smashed the homie. Listen, young ladies, I'm not here to talk about right or wrong. I'm not going to even go too deep into the whole morality of it, right? I'm just going to talk about the guns and the butter, the realness of it, what we do see, right? We know for a fact, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether it's a double standard, whether men do it and all that other bullshit, that when you are with a man and you have interaction with his friend or somebody that he knows, he's going to automatically devalue you and vice versa. So, I mean, if I'm Diddy or any, no, I don't even like the way that sounds, but if I'm a man in that position and dude came and introduced me to her and they was involved and she let me give her any type of play or she's receptive to anything from me, I'm already knowing, oh, she's a gopher. She ain't shit. That's how I'm looking at her. Look for how old she is. She grown. And then another thing, right? I always thought grooming was when you start when a girl is young, before she's young, grooming her for when she becomes that age. I think she was already 19 when Diddy met her. So I don't know if that's grooming, right? And then not only that, but not only that, but I don't buy the I was young and dumb thing when females are 18 and over. Because people will say, well, that's still a child, they're still a kid, and they don't think, yeah, we know that, right? But tell that to an 18-year-old and see how she curse your ass out and go off on you. Tell her she's still a child, she don't know nothing, she don't need to be doing this and doing that, right? Tell it to Cassie at 18. Tell it to any of these girls, or if you could rewind the clock, any of these women now with trauma, right? Who were done wrong young, who was off the porch young, who was going through whatever. who turn around and use that as an excuse. You couldn't have told them they was too young then. And then not only that, but at 18, you're considered an adult. I think that's old enough to be able to make certain decisions. Do you have it all figured out? No. But we be dumber than we should be. Let's keep it 100. And people constantly, when I had this conversation, want to reiterate the fact that they this age and they only knew this. That's a problem. You should know more than that by that age. I think people be knowing better a lot of times. They just don't be wanting to take accountability, right? Like she didn't know before Diddy even came that Ryan Leslie was older than her. She didn't know how old Diddy was. She didn't know he was too old for her. It only took for him to know. She was too young to know because technically he wasn't too old for her. She was 18. She was a grown woman, right? And a lot of y'all may not understand this or agree with this, but that's like almost like an ideal age for a lot of men until they start getting into their 40s and stuff. But even with a 30-something-year-old man, because guess what? A 37-year-old man and an 18-year-old man are going to fuck your 18-year-old daughter, your 18-year-old sister, your 18-year-old niece, if they fucking with her. The nigga that's her age, he going to fuck her and do the same thing the other one is going to do too. But how come we don't have that same compassion, empathy for young men at that age? Because guess what? A young dude can make a simple mistake and get caught with some crack that he ain't even got a chance to sell yet. And they're going to send him to the penitentiary. They're going to send him to jail with the big boys at 17. And niggas get certified too, younger than that for certain crimes, violent crimes, murder, and stuff like that. So we don't get to use young and dumb. So telling that to a man who come from that harbor fair type of you know what I'm saying, culture. Shit, it's kind of hard for me. It's kind of hard for me to empathize with that. I can't really put myself in your position because as a young man, I've always had the force to know that, nigga, whatever the consequences of your repercussions to your actions. There's consequences and repercussions to your actions. And I had to understand that and I had to know that, right? And at a very young age. So I didn't get no buffer between. I heard women is talking about stuff that happened as old as 26. Talking about I was young and dumb. Shut up. You was dumb, that's for sure. But you wasn't too young. You should have knew better.
Okay. And so what happened, clearly, it was clear as day. She went from being with this one person who was Ryan Leslie, who, you know, built her from scratch. Okay, saw her. He literally said that, you know, the only way that he could have met the likes of Cassie is because he went out of his normal routine of just being in the house, working, creating, and went to a club one night and saw her there.
That's actually how I met Cassie, because I was like, yo, I'm a big producer now. I'm going to the club, whatever.
Now, this is a man who said that he didn't, you know, drink, he didn't smoke, he was not, you know, a part of a certain type of lifestyle.
I never acquired a taste for alcohol, for drugs, for partying.
This man was a brilliant man. Okay, brilliant. So brilliant that he literally, you know, went into Harvard, I think at 14 or 15 years old.
What age did you go to Harvard?
I got in when I was 14 and I was a freshman at 15. Yeah.
And as I said before, you know, he put the puzzle pieces together for her. And in doing that, she gained so much recognition, again, that attracted the likes of a Diddy to say, you know what, we're going to sign her. We're going to.
And what did he get in return? What did he get?
Make her even bigger than the artist that she already is. And she 100% jumped for that opportunity. Not only did she jump for the opportunity to be signed to, you know, Bad Boy.
I would hear it everywhere I was at. And so I kept asking, what record is that? And Glenn told me that it was Ryan's act, it was Cassie. When I saw her and I met her and I saw this DVD on her, hopefully we can play that. That's what kind of made me like really fall in love with the project, because I saw something more than just records.
But she also jumped.
He saw something more than just records, all right. That's Ryan's act. That's Cassie. So how did she do Ryan? Right? And a lot of people don't understand how karma works. You don't really get to pick what your karma is, right? And you never know how much your actions affect somebody. So somebody could say, well, that still don't mean she deserved this or deserved that. Who are you to say? How do you know? What did he deserve? You know, what did he deserve?
Jump for the opportunity to be in a relationship with him and leave Ryan Leslie to the wayside. Now, the reason why all of this stuff is very, very crucial and very important information is because, you know, there has been a lot of talk surrounding, you know, the grooming. There's been a lot of talk that she was, you know, completely unaware of anything that she was ever doing at that time. And, you know, her being in a relationship with the likes of Ryan Leslie, who was 10 years her senior. And she was, I think, like 19 at the time, 18, 19 at the time when she met him. She was obviously able to go to a club because that's how he met her. So she was old enough to get in. So she must have been at least 18, 19 years old.
All right, guys, they're back, and now they're asking Cassie questions about Leslie. If you don't know who Leslie is, Leslie wrote and produced Cassie's debut album. Now, they also dated. This was before Diddy. So now Diddy's lawyers are asking Cassie, like, how much older was he than you? Cassie responds that he was 10 years older than her. They then asked Cassie if she had tattoos of Leslie's initials on her body. She responded yes, and then they asked her how many other tattoos does she have on her body. And then they said objection, but then they said overruled, and she responded 3. They then asked her what was the tattoo that's on her arm, and she said it says no regrets. So we think that
RL for Ryan Leslie. I wonder, is there no regrets in reference to that? Or just she mean in general, just in life? Just is it just cliche? Because I'm sure she got some.
the defense is trying to go at an angle that Cassie was not groomed because she had been with a man 10 years older than her prior to Diddy. So they're trying to shut that narrative down that she was groomed.
You know, the two of them, you know, had a bond, had a relationship, and obviously she was in the mind frame of, this is somebody who can also help me and propel me in the way in which I want to go. And so we build this relationship. You're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. We work in the studio, we do all these things together, and it's a win-win situation for the both of us, right?
Right.
And so now when that situation transferred into her being with Diddy, based on a lot of the testimonies that I saw, her enduring a lot of the things that she did at that time, you know, when it got into situations of her being with the likes of the, you know, Kid Cudi or her even now husband, and then still going back to be in a relationship with him, it shows a bit of a trend, right? Kid Cudi and Diddy were cool. Kid Cudi is, you know, Diddy said to Cassie that she should work with Kid Cudi, and then that is what prompted her to.
What? Hold on, wait a minute. She smashed the homie again. We're not talking about him making her have sex with other dudes. I don't know. It was just a going rule when we was growing up that, and we already knew what it was. And it went for guys too, right? We did not mess with our homeboys' exes or baby mamas. If it's been a title or if it's been a child, we didn't do it, right? Now, there have been exceptions. And we understood when we was doing that, what that meant, right? That's taboo. So she opened herself up. She was just, things like this are what made her ripe. This is what I mean by ripe. A young lady who's not that risque or who's not that promiscuous doesn't become a target as easily.
Then, you know, have some one-on-one time with him or whatever, build this kind of, you know, bond in the studio, whatever the case is. And then, you know, decided that she was now going to be in a relationship with that person and not be in a relationship with him. As you can see here, this is when the lawyer was cross-examining Cassie. And it says, you know, the lawyer asked Cassie, she says, did there come a time when he suspected you were in a relationship with someone in the industry, Mr. Cudi, which is Kid Cudi? And Cassie says, yes. Then the lawyer says, Mr. Combs thought it could be good for your career if you collaborated with Mr. Cudi. And Cassie then says, yes, again. Then the lawyer says, why did you begin your relationship with him? And this is Kid Cudi again. Cassie says, we enjoyed each other's company. The lawyer says, you were in a relationship with Mr. Combs. Cassie says they were on a break. The lawyer says, but you were still doing freak offs with him? Cassie says yes. The lawyer then says, after
how come kids always love to get in the parents' beds and stuff? When I was little, I don't know. The bed, my mama bed just seemed, I know it was bigger. It just seemed softer and better. Her covers seemed better, everything. I don't know. It just, something about being a kid. We love climbing up in our parents' bed. Like it's a big ass nest or something. This little, yeah, can I get in your bed? Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Mr. Combs found out by going through your phone, you went to see him. You knew he was upset and he had previously harmed you before. She said, yes, I thought I'd be safer with other people there.
Hold on. So this is after he had already beat her ass before. Now, was you safer with other people there before? Had he smacked the hell out of you in front of people before, or was this before he started doing it in front of people and was still trying to hide? Because that sounds... Okay, I said I wasn't going to go in on it too bad. We ain't going to victim shame, but damn, Cassie, making it pretty easy for the nigga.
The lawyer then says, your affair with Mr. Cudi was only a month long, but you got a burner phone for it? She says, right. The lawyer says, Mr. Combs kicked you in the back? She says, yes. The lawyer says, this came up later in your relationship that you had cheated on him with Kid Cudi. Cassie says, yes, he brought it up quite a bit. The lawyer then says, when he cheated, he said, well, you had an affair with Kid Cudi, right? And she said, sometimes. And again, this is a trend that, you know, everybody is starting to realize. Okay, you were with Ryan, that was Diddy's friend, you went to Diddy. You were with Diddy, he told you about Kid Cudi, that was his friend, you went to Cudi. Like, you know, it's knowing.
I'm sorry, Cassie. I'm sorry. I know you may not have known, right? I know it's not your fault, but that's what we call a pass around. That's what we call a runner. She's a runner. She's a track star. You know what I'm saying? So that don't mean she's supposed to be abused. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is she opened the door for the devil to come in by not having certain limitations sexually. She was being a little hot in the ass. She had them hot pockets. She was ripe for the picking. What are you gonna pick? Hot pockets. Remember that commercial? No, that's what he picked. You think he was gonna pick somebody who wasn't no freak, who wasn't willing to smash the homie?
It's becoming a trend that people are noticing and witnessing. And you know, in this situation, a lot of people are talking about the fact that he had control over this person. Obviously, okay, this is a powerful person.
Today, Cassie read out loud in court a text she wrote to Diddy. You treat me like you're Ike Turner. She meant he was abusive and controlling. For example, he repeatedly threatened to drop freak-off videos on the internet and destroy her.
Some of y'all get a little promotion at y'all job and y'all don't know how to act. Okay, y'all be acting like y'all founded the company when y'all get a little bit of promotion from your job. So imagine somebody who has, you know, a lot of notoriety, a lot of money behind that situation, and then, you know, the ability to kind of exercise or do whatever. And it seemed at the time that there was never going to be any repercussion for their action. Okay, that situation obviously, you know, tumbled into a lot of the foolishness that we got to see or hear, you know, from her standpoint, from other people who have talked about the situation. And so it's almost like it's spiraled out of control.
What you got to say now? What you got to say now? You ain't got shit to say when you put your girl on the snap.
But what is,
Oh, he need to
I
shut his
think,
bitch
should
ass
be
up.
made mention more of is the fact that, like, okay, what happened that entered Cassie into the situation? Because a lot of times we are talking from the after effect, but what entered Cassie into this situation as a whole? And it was the idea of what she could have, what she could obtain, and who she could be.
At Bad Boy, we there for people through ups and downs. For all the new young artists out there that think this is easy, it's not easy.
These women who were talking about getting into these situations where a man got to fly them out, he got to have the bag, he got to be a certain type of person, he got to have, you know, a certain amount of zeros in his bank accounts. And there are some times that there's other things that come along with those certain lifestyles. That's just the truth. There's sometimes that you see people and you over there jealous of what they got going on social media. You, man, I can't believe. And you have no idea what those women have had to endure to live said lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying all the time, but I'm talking about it. And I think it's important, again, that we highlight this angle of the conversation, because these younger girls are just continuing the same feminist perspective. Oh, you can't trust men. Men are horrible. He groomed her. He this, he that. And, you know, we have to put the onus on the women so women can see that if you do not want to, be in similar situations, we have to analyze this conversation and see what could have been done, if anything, differently to avoid certain situations.
Update. Cassie confirms she got a FaceTime call from her now husband, Alex Fine, the last time she and Diddy was doing the,
Now, again, the reason why a lot of people who were in support of her and were like, oh my God, she's a victim, this is terrible, this is the worst thing, now kind of have a change of heart is because in hearing more of this information, it's like some things are just not making sense.
That didn't make sense. Hold on. She got a face call from her. I guess I'm assuming he wasn't her husband then, but she got a FaceTime call from him the last time that she was with Diddy. Before I even try to assume, let me go a little bit further to see what they're talking about, because y'all know.
Okay, because you got away scot-free. You were a victim in this situation. You were going through it. You were getting, hit, kicked, all these kind of things, and you finally got away with the trainer. Then you decided to go to dinner, which what's there to talk about at this point? Like, what is there a conversation that needs to be had about? You go to dinner as if...
Hold on. You got a new boyfriend, right? Did you meet the trainer through him? Oh, okay. Just checking. You got a new boyfriend. If he your boyfriend, I'm assuming he ain't got that pussy already. We know you ain't wasting no time, right? Right. So you fucking somebody else already, and you finna get ready to go to dinner with your ex. See what I'm talking about?
Dinner was not enough. You decided to go back to the house. And again, a conversation that younger women need to hear and to understand.
I was just about to say that young ladies pay attention. Because see, this ain't just trolling and this ain't just clowning her. I'm hoping I'm striking a nerve. I mean, I'm being silly and you know what I'm saying? But for real.
There's always going to be an expectation when you're at the house. Because why are you there?
August 2018, what happened? Cassie, we were having a closure conversation at a restaurant in Malibu.
A closure conversation? What the fuck is that? I've never even heard that term before. In my 100 years, damn near, on this planet, I ain't never heard of fucking closure conversation. I've heard of people having closure, but a closure conversation? Don't you have that before you get into a relationship, dumbass?
He was trying to convince me to go to Burning Man, AUSA. Were you seeing anyone? Cassie, my now husband. What happened next? Cassie, Sean came to my house and me on my living room floor. His eyes were black. It's like taking something from you. AUSA, you cried? What did Sean do? Cassie, he continued and finished inside me. Then he got up and left. Did you ever have sex with him again? Cassie, yes. Voluntarily. We had a good night. I went back to his house.
To hang out?
Hold on. did you ever have sex with him again? Was that after the assault? Or was it the assault that you're talking about? No, she said voluntarily. So even after that, and you thought that was a good idea. Your husband's a simp. He a simp.
Out to eat popcorn, to watch movies, to drink water. Like, there's always going to be that expectation or that emphasis. You go there, you're at the house, and then you say he took it. Okay? But then after that, you go back to your freedom space, whatever the case is, with that person, and then you voluntarily go back and are intimate with him again. Voluntarily. So it's a bit of a, like,
Now,
you know,
see,
it's like a catch-22. And again, there has to be some kind of onus.
because there was so much drug use, right? And because of Stockholm syndrome and other mental stuff that she was going through, right? I can kind of understand the breaking up taking a while, right? It's kind of like when I fell off my motorcycle. When I flipped and fell off the motorcycle, that wasn't the end of the motherfucker fall. Oh, I had to tumble about 20, 30 feet. Before it finally came to a stop, right? And I think that's what it be with a lot of these relationships. So I understand the going back, even with the abuse, right? And I even understand the moving on a little bit because people have desires. You know what I'm saying? You had those desires. But just because I understand it don't mean I agree with it, and don't mean that it's right, and don't mean that you should have done it. And it doesn't mean that you're not still bringing certain energy. See, just having sex with multiple men outside of the freak-offs, right? You being with Ryan, he introduced you to Puffy. Then you having sex with Puffy, smash the homie. Then he tell you you should work with Kid Cudi, right? That's somebody who he know, another friend. And then you smash the homie again, right? Why aren't these men off limits? Even if you're going to move on, even if you want to move on, you had the right and he was cheating and all of this. Why aren't his friends and circle off limit? That's called a thought. That's a whore, right? You're getting passed around amongst friends, right? So I can see how somebody like that would seem like an easier victim. You know, I can see how somebody who's a predator would see her being the age that she is. She probably wasn't very hip or very street smart or had a whole lot of, she was just young, ambitious, a little hot in the ass because Ryan met her at a club and he was 28. She was 18. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, so we're not talking on Diddy. Throw him under the jail. You know what I'm saying? He's into trafficking. He's into the occult. He's into rituals. He's into blood magic. He's into sex, sacrifice, and all of that, right? And it's plenty of evidence to support that. Y'all must ain't seen my other videos, right? But at the same time, why are you okay having sex with multiple men who know each other? Even before the abuse, when you first got caught with Puffy, you was crossing that line because you got introduced to him by your boyfriend, Ryan Leslie. That's the part people ain't talking about until I ran across this. So let's get back to it.
On the situation, there has to be. There has to be. Because, you know, what do they say? Prevention is better than cure. You know what? To prevent anything negative happening that I don't want to happen, I'm not going to go. But you go. And you do. And you have dinner. And you go to the house. And you go back home to this new man who rescued you. And then you go back again. And then there was even a point in which she was testifying that she said that she still loves him.
I called this last night. I said, Cassie still got love for Dick. She said it today in court. I still got love for him.
I didn't even see that.
Bro. I don't hate him. I don't hate the years in the past. I guarantee you, if Diddy was to change his ways, they can't go back together because of the optics. But I can almost guarantee, I don't know what Alex Fine do for her. He may be bored. I don't know how much they make. But if that black billionaire called her and said, baby, I ain't gonna hit you no more freak offs, no more drugs. I just want to have a conversation about it. I think she'll consider. I ain't gonna say she gonna do it now, because that would be a fool. But I think she will consider.
She still loves him. She still has love for him. Like, it's a very messy situation. It's very messy. But, you know, in the parts that, again, she had.
That's psychological, though. That's psychological. And then we talked about the defense mechanism to protect yourself from not being abused. And then let's not forget, he's implicated in the unaliving of Kim Porter. So she probably sees that, knows more than meets the eye, and is thinking about all that too. So I'm not going to just totally dog her for being involved with the man. All I'm doing is pointing out the mistakes that she made that made her the perfect victim for something like this. And we got to teach our girls not to be like this.
At to play, I have to say it goes right back to the beginning of the conversation, is that the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's not. When her and Ryan Leslie broke up, there was no more conversation. He wasn't chasing her down. He wasn't trying to get her back. He let sleeping dogs lie. He left it alone. But she went because she wanted more. She wanted greater. She wanted more publicity. She wanted more of the.
Ryan said, I'm going to let a hoe be a hoe. Not going to try to turn no hoe into a housewife like this damn fool her. She going to get rid of him. Either she going to get rid of him because he's too soft, or he's going to crack under all this pressure of all this shit in this case. One or the other. I'm not saying, I can't say that I'm wishing for that, but that's my hypothesis on what's going to happen.
The limelight. She wanted more stardom, and didn't actually get that part out of it, and ended up getting all this trauma, hurt, pain, manipulation, like all these things out of that situation instead.
Asked me, you know, hey, how do you feel? Were you heartbroken? You know, Puff took your girl, whatever it was. And like, I understand when a story or a narrative is not for me. Once it was no longer for me, then there were other narratives and stories for me to invest my time, energy, and resources into.
Now, again, do I think that, you know,
that's some motherfucker player shit. And as far as what the niggas need to learn, men need to learn from that right there. Let her go. Not Cassie, any her, whoever her is. Don't try to keep nobody don't want to be kept, dog. No, you don't do that. That make you look weak, like you can't do no better. What was you doing before you got her? Was you eating every day? Your heart was beating every day? Was you getting money? I don't know. Some of y'all wasn't before these girls came in and put a titty in y'all mouth. You know what I'm saying? What was you doing before her? Well, I promise you, after her, you can do the same thing and even more, nigga. Let your nuts hang. One gone. Yeah, it hurt. I'm not no super nigga. My heart is not concrete. Yeah, it hurt. But you got to man up. Shit.
A young girl knew that any of this was going to be a possibility when she tried to, you know, level up and date up from the situation that she was already in. I don't think so. I don't think she could have ever fathomed what she was going to have to be willing to do to be in the seat that she wanted to secure. I don't think so. I genuinely don't. And again, hence why we need to have these conversations openly to younger girls so that they can see that, again, not everything that glitters is gold.
Y'all listen to somebody that turned down $1 million contract, a $500,000 contract. And so it was glittering like a motherfucker. And I think it was gold. And I still didn't want it because what came with it, gold heavy. Yeah, you got to carry that shit. Baggage. Now she a bag lady. Bag lady, you gonna miss your bus.
Sometimes you in a situation, you're in a space, you're building with someone, you're growing with somebody, and you see somebody come out, you know, they got a certain car, certain amount of finances, and you think that they are the better option. And you have no idea what you're going to have to do or endure to be in those certain spaces, situations, or relationships to keep up. You don't know. And unfortunately, you don't know until you know, like Cassie. And so I don't know. I think it's a crazy thing. I think, you know, the more information that's coming out, the only side that we've seen so far is like more of like a domestic situation, not really anything else that's tied to the higher things that they actually have him, you know, arrested for. I think that they just brought this in to kind of show all of the things that he was capable of and all the things that he.
Right. Because they finna get down to the nitty gritty. He got racketeering. He got drug possession. He got, oh my goodness, weapons possession, all types of shit. All types of shit. And she got too much stuff. You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. What is like, one day all them bags gonna get in your way. One day he gonna say you crowding my space. Now look, what does that mean? I've been in situations with young ladies who were great young ladies who didn't have a lot of the demons that Cassie has, right? Who weren't promiscuous, who weren't ripe for the picking, who were good girls, who I wanted to do right by, right? But they just had situations prior to me or situations that was going on in their lives when I met them that just wasn't worth the drama or the stress that I just didn't want to deal with. All them bags start to crowd my space. You know what I'm saying? Even if you done with your ex, right? Even if you're done with your baby daddy, even if you're not leading him on, you're not sending messages or signals or nothing like that, and you're trying to move on, even if he really did take advantage of you and it wasn't one of those situations where you knew better or whatever the case may be. Let's say you really did get tricked and you knew better, you recognized your worth and you moved on, right? If he's constantly being a thorn in your side, then that's going to be a thorn in the side of whoever else you deal with. So even if you're telling him to leave you alone and you're trying to move on, that's not a common narrative that a nigga want to have to deal with. I don't even want to be sitting around you all the time while you stressing over him. Because you ain't going to be able to really get to enjoy your time with me the way you want to. Or you're just going to be using me as an escape, right? Or it's going to endanger me and my safety because he one of them niggas that want to do something to me and I may not even know that energy is there because you steady saying, oh, he ain't gonna do shit, or he just talking, or he ain't, or you ain't even relaying the shit that he's saying. I'm gonna fuck that nigga up. Better tell that nigga he better not have a nigga around my son and all that. You're not hearing all this all the time, right? So even if she's not wrong in that, sometimes it's still just too much and the nigga don't want to deal with it, especially if he got better options. Right? There's that part, right? People deserve their peace, right? And if you're not bringing somebody peace and you don't have peace in your life, don't dump all that on nobody else's plate. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to have to listen to you sitting around belly aching about stuff that don't have to do with a man, just constant problems in your life. Problem. It's my job to be a leader and try to help solve them. Men are problem solvers. But sometimes it just be too much and it's just not worth it. We look at the benefit and the reward for all the work that we put in to be with a woman, right? We look at things like that. Benefit versus reward. And sometimes, you know, the I said benefit versus reward. The sacrifice versus the reward, right? And sometimes it's just not even. The sacrifice is way more. And that's something that all people need to consider when they start bringing other people into their mess, into their lives. And that's pretty much my message for today. You know what I'm saying? My message for today. Drink you some turmeric tea like I had when the meeting first started. Put down the lean, put down the perks, and pick up some motherfucking potion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Come back and see me again. Shalom. All praise to the Most High. Appreciate y'all few who stopped by.